Good evening, Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey. Got another great interview for you this evening. As always, we're going to go ahead and start this off with making sure we can see and hear me in here okay. And then if we can go ahead and get this shared out, and then we'll get ready for some great times in here tonight. Give me just a moment to go through this. Wendy, appreciate you being here. Scott, thank you for being here as well. We're already starting getting them kind of trickling in here. Excellent. I appreciate y'all being here. Again, if y'all let me know you can see and hear me, I'd appreciate that. And then as far as if we can get this shared out as well. And let's see. Hope everyone had a great day today, was staying safe. Wash your damn hands, because, you know, that's the normal. That should have been the normal in the first place anyway, but that's just me. All right. Looks like we are up and running and everything's going okay with this. All right, let me remove the banner and we'll make this official. And there we go. All right, Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey, got another great interview for you this evening. As always, we go ahead and start off by thanking the sponsors, because I do have sponsors on here, which is really cool. So first and foremost, Sub-Zero Mission, which is a very important one to me. Everybody knows that's the one that in their area, they go out, they get the tools that are needed to go ahead and survive the winter months to the homeless vets that are out there. So this is the one thing that's on my list of people on here as sponsors. They're actually saving lives in their area. That is very important. If you don't know enough about this, please reach out and let me know. I'll give you all the information you could possibly ever want on that. Next up, we have Totally Rad Comics. Totally Rad Life Violet #3 is currently on Kickstarter, and it is tearing it up right now. So jump on there if you have not already and go ahead and give them some love. Codex Entertainment has got Lily the Demoness #4, which is currently on Kickstarter, again tearing it up. But if you're not on there, jump over there, give them some love as well. We can't think about giving love without thinking about Naughty Fairies. Wendy Steenshaner is in here in the audience, I know. So Naughty Fairies Stripper Assassins #4 is currently on Kickstarter, and it is absolutely tearing it up. Again, show them some absolute love. We have Third Empire Banner, which has actually got Age of Remnants, has been released on Kickstarter. They, I believe they're 6 days in, and they're doing very well. So go look them up. That is a really great series to get into. And then we've also got 183 Degree Studio, which is Kara Nicole and Alfred Trujillo. They just finished up with Confessions of a Cosplay Diva, which is currently, if I'm not mistaken, still on Indiegogo for a very short time. So if you missed it, jump over there, because you do not want to miss this. All right, so officially, we're going to get this thing started. Thank you, everyone, for being in here in the audience and ready for this tonight. I've got a great guest here. We've been discussing some things prior to getting her out here. So let's go ahead and wait no longer on this one. We're going to bring out April, Grady, Reyna.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from Houston.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me. My first foray into online interviewing. This is awesome.
We brought you onto the biggest show I could possibly, think of getting you on. So that's, no, I'm joking.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
Yeah. Now, the way I want to start this is, for anybody that's out there that doesn't know who you are, if you'll take a moment to go ahead and say who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm April Reyna. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and we've got, well, I've kind of been in the industry for a solid 10 years, just kind of up and coming, doing independent projects and commissions, and just kind of cutting my teeth in the industry, trying to figure out what I want to do. So far I've been doing some independently published work. Mark of the Terran is written by Melissa Stacy and illustrated by myself, which I'm halfway done through the next release, but stuff and things. I'm also working on a book that I'm like 3 pages away from being finished, called Emergence. Darren Garrett, I think, is what his last name is. And that should be really cool. It's going to be a sci-fi space I don't know, just amazing comic. It's
Very
got
cool.
everything. It's fabulous. And then I've been doing a lot of cover art this year, not only for Lady Death, but also for Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins. And oh, I love me some sexy ladies. So Wendy, I love you so much. Thank you. I've also, for the last year and a half, been immersed in doing sketch cards. So I've been doing sketch cards with R.R. Parks, Viceroy, and Dynamite Entertainment. I think I've done like 8 sets for Dynamite, and I have to admit, every one of them wind up looking amazing. So it's really exciting.
Very
And yeah, let me tell you how flattering it is to find these cards worldwide. So I just am gobsmacked at the fact that they're not just in the United States, but they're coming from France and Australia, and it's just amazing that I'm starting to get some international credibility, not just, you know, not just here in the Southwest. So
yeah, absolutely.
it's kind of exciting. Yeah. I started in comics like, oh gosh, in my senior year of high school, I was doing color steps for DC with Rogue Age Studios, which was really amazing because I didn't understand what it was at all. And they taught me really immersed in color theory and working with Photoshop, and took me to my first Comic-Con, my first comic shop. I grew up in a really small town of like 2,000 people, and we didn't have a comic shop. So I didn't start collecting or reading comics until I was 18 already, or maybe 19. And that was exciting because you had these beautiful illustrated works. I fell in love with Witchblade, Top Cow stuff, you know, Tomb Raider, Fathom. Oh, Fathom, love it. And then, of course, you know, I just kind of find books that were laying around the studio, like Hellraiser and sorry, yeah, that's right. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. After 2 years of doing that, I decided to move out from Illinois to Arizona. Got my degree in art from ASU, and then Tess Fowler sat down with me, of all people, and was like, "What are you going to do after you graduate? You graduate in like 3 or 4 weeks." And I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Just do comics. You're already a fan. Just do it." And I sat and like dreamt on it for like 2 weeks and was like, "What do I got to do?" And before you know it, I was going into Pop Culture Paradise, the comic shop that was there right across the street from ASU, and picking up back issues, and they were giving me assignments, and I started doing Comic-Con and meeting people, and started doing anthologies with some of the other artists down there, like Alien Heart Bigfoot, I think was my first publication. The Smiths Volume 2 was my first like big publication, and then it's slowly grown to independently published books, as well as cover art for Lady Death and Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins. And oh my gosh, let me tell you how lucky I am, trying not to swear. I am so lucky. I love it.
Yeah, we have a small amount of swearing we can do on here. That's just a little bit. So you got to use your quota wisely.
Yes, I will do my best. I'm trying really hard. But yeah, no, I absolutely love to draw, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's realism or comics or backgrounds or just anything. If I find that there's a challenge, I'm kind of willing to take it. So it's been exciting. And I have to admit, having blank variants, as silly as that sounds, it pushes me to really customize things for my clientele, and forces me to do things that I never thought that I would. Whether it's doing like I've done some like wedding recreations for people, like they wanted to be Batman and Mary Jane or something, or I've gone through and done like group settings. Like those would never be prints, and
Right.
therefore, yeah. So they're small and they're just incredibly intimate. You know, I really like working on them, and then I get to experiment with like different mediums. So not only do I use Copics, but I use iridescent watercolor. I'll use pen and ink. I'll use I don't know, just anything I can get my hands on. Oh, spray glitter. It really sells the Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassin sketches. They're pretty awesome.
As soon as you said that, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, okay, that's got to be on Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins.
Oh yeah. Well, with the last campaign with the swimsuit issue that she had put on Kickstarter, that Wendy put on Kickstarter back in January, I believe it was. I got to do a couple of sketches, and I don't know. I got to experiment with some colors. I was trying to use like well, in strip clubs, they have those really weird lights, like the pinks and the blues or whatever. And so I was trying to emulate that kind of lighting, which I have never done before. So I thought it was a pretty good success. Like I used like blue violets and aquas and hot pinks, and then I sprayed it with the iridescent glitter, and it was gorgeous. I can't wait to do more. I hope that she asks me to do a few more for this next campaign that she's doing, and oh goodness, my heart.
Now, honestly, I know nothing about the strip club, so I don't know what you're talking about on that.
Oh, I don't know but I have, and they love me. It's fine.
I couldn't resist.
I don't know if you can tell I'm blushing, but I kind of sort of am. It's hot. It's July.
Yes, I made another guest blush. So with your start into comics, you actually started in a good way because you actually had them in your hands to go ahead and get that love for the industry before you actually even started drawing the things, before you even really got into the nuts and bolts of what it is to actually make a comic. It's just going in as a fan is basically, and then you went to the next level of actually putting those things together, and then you just kind of evolved.
A little bit, but my first break-in was just them, was Heroic Age Studios teaching me about creating the back end of it. I didn't realize how it kind of played out. I mean, I don't know if it's the same now as it was, oh gosh, how old am I? 20 years ago. But back when I was working for Heroic Age Studios, they kind of explained to me that the penciler, they got like, I don't know, 6, maybe 7 weeks to do that. And then the inker got about half that. And then the colorist wound up making up the time. And then the back end of it, with us doing color steps, was to, get the colors dropped in digitally so that it could go to press. And so most of the time we got like a week or sometimes less to work on them. And it was pretty awesome. We had a collection of like, I don't want to say 10 artists, the digital artists that would go through and drop in colors, and we all just took like a handful of pages. Me being low end on the totem pole, I always got like last pick. So I got like those really hard pages that had like the JLA in full war with a whole bunch of cutouts of like the special effects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you had like to knock out the black lines and replace them with like the green of Green Lantern's ring, or I don't know, Superman's like vision and stuff like that. And it was complicated, and I had a slow computer, so I remember the longest one took me 16 hours to do, and it was rough. But those all-nighters, we can do it. But it gave me a true appreciation for digital coloring. And this is before the Wacom tablets and stuff, which I still don't own one, but I am a little envious that they are so readily available, and I kind of want to pick one up eventually. But we were having to hand cut all of them with a mouse and drop in the colors and do the gradients and stuff. And so by knowing how much time and the meticulousness of it, I have to admit that when I went to the forefront of pencils and inks and stuff like that, I was able to truly appreciate how much time it takes to get like that to come together. So it was pretty fascinating. And I have to admit, like, if I have to color my own stuff, I can. It takes me so long to do it that I'd rather farm it out to people who do it quicker with really bright color palettes. So I'm not sure if you looked at any of my stuff on Facebook, but I have a fan art page called Reyna Art, and I have quite a few of my my work there, and it's just art. It's not memes. It's not about my family. It's none of that. It's just art stuff, prints, sketch cards, sketches from cons, stuff like that. And and so I've got some work that I've done there, especially like my earlier works, year 3 and 4. But nowadays I like to work with other artists. Well, I mean, because we're all working together, right? Mm-hmm. If I have Shelby Robertson color something, then I can tag him and reach his viewers as well. If I eventually would love to have Kara do some work for my colors from the 183 studios, because she's been doing it for a couple of years, and I love how like she's starting to grow into it. Mm-hmm. Even if it's her using eyeshadow, God, I'm like, what? That's fantastic. Oh, I love her so much. Anyway. So yeah, it's just really fascinating that we can all work together and we can share our works not only with our own clientele but with theirs as well. And I don't know, it's wonderful the reach that we can get. So
oh, absolutely, especially that is the positive in all of this with current situations and everything, is that it's actually made people where they understand that they can pull together in numbers and create much larger things in doing so. It doesn't have to be everybody fighting for their own thing. You can ask one or two people's help and it goes way much further.
It really does, especially when you do like those anthology projects. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow, if all you have to do is secure 5 or 6 pages, it's so much easier to do than it is to do a whole 23, 24 page book. And yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. So
now, what were some of the comics that actually affected or influenced your style that you use?
Well, like I said, I am a huge Michael Turner fan with the Witchblades and the Fathoms. But as I start to kind of come into my own, well, I'm just going to go with that. Like if it's not those two, Danger Girls on there on the list. Gosh, what else? Adrenaline. I remember running into Tony Daniels. Oh God. I tell you, I've got so many con stories. He's like, "You want me to ink this for you?" I'm like, "No, that's fine." I can't believe I turned it down. I can't. I'm so naive. It's fine. But Eric Balsadula is another one. I've had the privilege of taking my portfolio to some of the best in the industry and having them look at my work. And, they're always very shy because they don't want to hurt my feelings. And I tell them, look, I've been to art school. I can hack it. I can't get better if I don't know what I can't fix. So once they figure out that I can take it and I'm there with my little notepad and I'm like writing down those suggestions that they give, I know there's things that I can fix, and I have been working on them, and it's exciting to see that progress. And eventually I'm going to take my work back to them and have them look at it again, just because. So eBass was my very first portfolio review, and let me tell you, that was super intimidating. I go up and I'm like, "Here, can you look at my stuff?" And he's all like, "No, not here." And I'm like, "Oh my God, devastation." And he's like, "No, not here." And it's like, we'll meet up tomorrow. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And I'm like sweating bullets, right? I'm like, oh, Lord. So I get there the next day, and we sit and we talk comics for 2 hours. And he breaks it down, and he like really has me hone in and focus. What do you want to do in this industry? You can't just do everything. Nobody's that good. And I'm like, okay. And he helped me kind of like figure out what my end game is. And I think my end game is going to try to be interiors. And as I've been doing sketch cards, even though that's not interiors, it has forced me to work on costumes and poses and trying to fit things into a panel, because you're dealing with, the sketch cards are like little, right? And panels, when they get shrunk down, you gotta be able to kind of figure out how the spacing's gonna go, and is it gonna work, and is this a strong pose? And after you do 200 cards, they're not all gonna be fantastic, but you're gonna have a sizable amount that are gonna be really good. And then you start to have a better idea of how you can fix things. You can go through and make them better with the next set. And this year alone, I did 250 Red Sonja cards. I've done 200 cards of Dawn. I'm working on the Divas. I'm working on Retro to the 80s. I mean, it's been amazing. I've already like shelled out like over, I don't know, 550 pieces of work this year, and I just can't share everything yet because they're not mine.
Right.
That's the hardest part. That is the hardest part. So I might be radio silent outside of like really inappropriate memes, but it's not that I'm not working. It's that I can't share it quite yet. So it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, I've got several creators and artists that will shoot something over to me, and they're like, okay, this is for you only. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm about to freaking burst here. But I haven't know. Now,
so
Luis Torres is over here. He wants to know if you like Orange Julius.
The like Dairy Queen kind of thing. You know what? I've never been.
I don't know. He mentioned it once before, Orange Julius, and then he wanted to know if you like it. So I'm sure he'll explain that. But Luis has actually got Lily the Demoness that he does for Codex Entertainment. I think that would be a really good thing to possibly get y'all together to get your style with Lily on the next one, possibly.
Would be so very honored, sir. Definitely contact me, because
I'm just saying, from a fan standpoint, since I have all of the lilies and whatnot, and I love the Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin stuff that you've done, so it works.
Did you see the stickers that I submitted for the Kickstarter? Wendy, I'm allowed to show this, right?
Oh yeah, you are. The stickers, I would imagine so.
Yeah. Like I got to
hang on, I'm gonna give you full screen. There you go.
So that one was one, and then that's another one that I got to do. And then the other one, that one has some naughty bits on it, so I don't know if I'm allowed to show.
Well, let's not push Facebook. On YouTube I can get away with it, but Facebook
Yeah. So but yeah, check but definitely check out Wendy's Kickstarter for more details on that. Yeah, no, I really like working like the realistic style. I am not a natural born inker, so I try to keep my lines as clean as possible, because I know that when they get to color, the colorist is gonna have a lot broader range to work stuff through. So whether it's experimental lighting or backlighting or whatever, like they can really, I don't know, the gloves come off, I hope. I don't know. I haven't actually spoken to colorists that are not already friends. So they may love or hate me, I'm not sure.
Now we've been talking a lot about some of your artwork and stuff like that. So as I understand it, you've got a little bit of it to show. So if I'm gonna give you full screen and let you have at that, if you want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Enough, I got to do like a medical thing, you know, because they're also influenced by quarantine, and I've been trying to work with some of the nursing staff too. So I've been doing some comic work about them trying to work with their patients and trying to be safe with their safe patient handling. So that I'm hoping we'll have some books that I'll be able to post later on my site. I've been doing a lot of sketch cards lately. So I got to do some work for a Viceroy, and that's some space. I got to do sets for Betty Page.
Nice.
A lot of gel pens, a lot of colored pencil. Red Sonja and Deja Thor and sorry.
Those are amazing.
I know. I really, really like them. I got to be part of the Vampirella anniversary.
Oh, very nice.
All of my Bond cards are gone already. So I can't show those. Oh, let me tell you how much I have fallen in love with the holofoil. This one's colored by Shelby Robertson, but the holofoil that they used for the paper is just so fabulous.
Wow.
It's just like a rainbow burst. It's fantastic. I have to admit, now that I know how wonderful it is, I may never go back to regular paper. So that may be a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. Let's see. And I like to experiment with stuff, so get like the difference between Copics on the left and watercolor on the right.
That is great.
Or I did like a series of mermaids. I have, you know, only a couple left of my originals, but the rest of the prints and stuff are on my Reyna art site. Let's see.
So if you want originals, go over there and get them from her quick before they're gone.
Right. These are some mock-ups I did for Wendy's Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins.
Wow.
Did one for Critter. Showed that to Tom Hutchinson, and that was pretty awesome. I did that Big Dog Ink Inktober Challenge, and that's how Wendy found me. These are some of the Inktober Challenge things that I did.
That is amazing. Those are great.
There's just so many. So I did this big push of selling art. Just to make room in my portfolio because I don't want to buy another one. And then as far as my comic goes, like these are pages from Mark Pateran that I am still working on. So I have a couple of issues that I've published, myself, but now this is the latest one that I need to finish. I think that was the last ink.
See, I love the way the panels are in that, because they're not the traditional
Yeah.
panels. I love that.
I try to vary it because it's you get this skeletal sketchy image thing and see if it flows, see if it works, and then from there I'm one of those where I like to cut and paste and like really see if it's working. So eventually I'll get it finished. And then with Emergence, this is the cover art for that.
Nice.
And then I've got the pages that are being digitally inked by another artist, and I'm afraid I don't know what their name is because I don't think we're already friends on Facebook, though I need to fix that. But it is looking quite nice, and I just love how I'm able to kind of stagger the panels to try to move the story. I love this. Like, I've never done one of those before, so that was exciting. So we're getting really close to this one being finished. I'm telling you, I'm the worst. Everywhere. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so it's really interesting. I would like to think that I've got a pretty robust range of things that I can tackle. And I don't know, I just like to put it to good use. And actually interior panels are like the best way for me to push myself because I'm having to think about the whole frame and multiple frames at that. Not everything's a splash page, and that's the hardest whenever we are first starting out, trying to think beyond, oh, I want it to look beautiful and pretty. Not everything's about that. One of the things that really resonated with me whenever I was doing my review with Ebass was he's like, sometimes you need 2 or 3 pages of just story info dumping. So they're sitting there at a booth eating waffles. How exciting is that? Not very, but sometimes you need that in order to get to the next stage of the story.
Right.
So you have to be able to do 3-point perspective. You have to be able to draw a cup. You have to be able to draw a napkin holder. You have to be able to do the stuff that's going to make the scene work. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Now,
so
I looked at your art page before we got on here with the interview and everything, and I was doing some research. And I always look on there because I'm trying to figure out where your strong points are, what you mainly focus on, that kind of thing. I could not figure out where your wheelhouse is of drawing. I can't figure out where you're most comfortable because everything looks amazing. And I'm talking about backgrounds, foregrounds. I'm talking about people that are in there. If you have a vehicle in there, anything and everything is just done to that point where it looks realistic and it looks like it could be actually done by other people, to be honest. I'm kind of looking at it going, okay, did you have someone else do the background on this and you did this? Or so it came out really well. So my question to you is, what has taken you most out of your whatever this wheelhouse is? What's been the most challenging piece that you've had to do?
Great question. So my husband's boss has this old-timey, I don't know, 1940s model Ford something, and I had to do a recreation of that. And I think that was the one that took me the most to try to figure out how to do. And it turned out amazing. So I did a very realistic car. And in fact, I should find the photo and send it to you. And then I did like an Art Deco background just to frame the picture, but it's straight white background because honestly, it was such a beautiful perfection that I didn't want to draw anything else away from it. So it took me an entire day to do the Art Deco frame. It took me like 2 days to draw out that car and color it. I like did a base coat of like Copic markers, and then I did like a color pencil on top of it, and then lined everything with microns and white pens. It was spectacular. I think the next thing after that was I did a what was the dimensions? It was like 22 by 30 inch recreation of an Iranian tapestry, all done by hand. That was amazing. And in fact, I still need to drop that off to its client. So, yeah, I was going to do it during Phoenix Comic-Con this year, but we're going to have to wait for next year. I just don't trust it to go through the mail. I just don't.
No.
No. Well, like, you still need to pay me for it anyway. We know that we're still good, so I'll just drop it to Phoenix when I need to. But that's I've done 2 out of 3, and I should probably start working on the 3rd one for them. But they're big and they're beautifully saturated with color, and they're all hand done. I did a similar effect with my Lady Death piece that I did for Brian Toledo. In fact, the original's behind the camera, but like you can see all the favorite inlay. Yeah, like all of that is hand done in black and white, and then the colorist went through and did his magic there. But yeah, if you can imagine that poster size or bigger, yeah, that's kind of where we were with that. And some of the other things I think that are super challenging is just doing comics. Mark of the Terran, I put out issue 0, 1, and 2. And even Alfred Treyu had done the variant cover for issue 2, so that was really exciting to work with him. But yeah, it's, I don't know, trying to move the story with sequences, trying to make each panel exciting, trying to ink my own stuff. Let me tell you, Brian Toledo told me straight up, that's my Achilles heel, that's my weak point. I'm either too heavy-handed or I don't do enough to solidify shadow. And it is, yeah. So even when I talked to Vince Hernandez, he said the very same thing just 5 minutes after I talked to Brian. And they're right. And I've been doing my very best to try to lighten up on my inking and to be a little more complete with that. And I draw a lot of women, lots of women. That's where I think my comfort zone is, because I love the accessories. I love the hair. I love the different ways that they can be both strong and sexy and all the things in between, because let's face it, each woman is very different. Each comfortable stance is very different. But I lock myself so heavily into that Top Cow image influence, where they're all very teeny tiny with, you know, robust, you know, feminine features. That I think the next thing I need to start working on is to diversify, you know, wider hip sets or different facial features, that like more of a pouty lip or sometimes a thinner lip, or just working on like angles of the eyes and stuff like that. I think that that's going to help level that up. But in the last 2 years, I've been trying to draw men more. So when I did my mermaid series, my mermen and mermaid series, I think I had like 8 prints, and half of them this time were men. And that is something that I hadn't done prior. So trying to work on the male anatomy is really hard, because what we know is there versus what we see when we see comic art is sometimes very different.
Right.
Like there's not that many rib muscles, or there's not that width in the bicep, or when you try to Rob Liefeld it up, sometimes it's like really not straight out of an anatomy book. Well, it's not a bad thing. I remember Tom Hutchinson, he gave me a review, and he's just like, if it comes down to being accurate or being cool looking, you have to lean towards cool looking. And I'm just like, okay, good point. So I've been tinkering a lot with that, with the comic emergence, because it's got a lot more men in it, and I'm an equal opportunist, so I've got some sexy male butts in there too. So you're welcome, ladies. But I know I think that if we're gonna, I don't think that there's anything wrong with the anatomy of the human body, whether it be male or female, and I'm happy to do equal opportunity with that.
Now, you've done a lot of work with a lot of different characters and things like that. So, who would be your dream one that you want to work with? As far as character or label that you want to work on.
That is a great question. I think that there's a difference between like the dream and then like a realistic goal. And I think that if I was going to do like a dream goal, it'd probably be, don't hate me, but like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is so diverse.
Yeah.
And especially when you come out with a book series like Harleen, where you've got the more realistic psychoanalytic, fearful of that obsessive love kind of thing. Like you can really push and pull the depths of how you're going to do not only panel layout, but what you incorporate into it, as well as different varying facial features. And that kind of diversity is super awesome. Plus, you can sometimes work in Harley Quinn with Poison Ivy, and that's not always a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So, and then like realistically, I would love to get my hands on Critter.
Really?
I know, but she's spunky and she's cute, and I don't have to push be a super sexy female. I could really push for story. And right. I think that would be fantastic. So I don't know. It's something that I can work towards. Plus, I've been talking to Tom Hutchinson quite a bit over the past couple of years, and it's not like anything I'm going to be like, hey, hit me up right now. I think that I would like to work towards doing some work for him on a interiors level at some point. And Mousy Mouse is 5, and she's registered for kindergarten hopefully this year. And if that be the case, then hopefully I can get faster at doing my pages. And when I can get to that level, I want to start pushing my portfolio to not only the big time industry stuff, but also to my other self-publishing or creator-owned people that I like to work with. I am not of the mindset that I am the best. I am not at all. Every time that I show my work to somebody, I really value the ability for them to tell me point blank, this is either really good or this is where you can work on to be better. And that's going to make me better in a few years, not necessarily next week. And I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not going away anywhere.
And that's very cool, because I mean, it actually kind of, by having that mentality, kind of gives you more of a perspective on not only your work as is, but your work that could be. So it kind of gives you a little more emphasis on, I'm not saying that you're going to be looking at it going, everything is just, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. I can't believe I'm putting this out. I can't believe I put this out. But it's one of those things where you look at it going, okay, like you said, I'm not the best, but then again, I have room for improvement. So there's always that constructiveness that you can actually add to it. And that's really good to have, because that way you're able to go ahead and see it from outside of the box, as well as being the one who does the work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I think it's really fantastic to be able to approach everything that way. And I'll tell my clients, I'm like, look, if you don't like it, you have to let me know, because I will redo it. My goal is to, even if it's not what they were asking for, have it still be good enough I can stick in my portfolio and maybe sell it later and try again. I had somebody contact me from Czechoslovakia, of all places, and ask for a Predator piece. And I initially mentioned what I was going to do, and he's like, yeah. And then I did it, and he's like, well, I'd really like to have it like this instead. And I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. and I had to redraw it. And you know what? It turned out like 100% better than what I had initially done. That is one of those instances where I was able to really level up. And I think it was just because I got that practice done. I draw very pretty. I draw pretty things for pretty pictures, and that's where I'm at. I draw pretty. Predator is not pretty. Predator is like horrendously ugly with all kinds of texture issues and whatever else. Like, it is not pretty. And so by doing the uh, piece again, I was able to work out, I think, a lot of that anxiety of not having it looks like my normal Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn stuff. And I was really able to get to the meat and potatoes of what the character was. And because of that, it really did some good stuff. So it had like almost like a red neon orange background with Predator like lunging towards the character or towards the foreground. And it just turned out really good. That was like a whole night at IHOP. It was fabulous.
Now, within the industry and the time that you've had here and everything, what's some of the best advice that you've been able to get from some of the other creators and everything out here?
I haven't actually gotten out to show a lot of my stuff for Houston, but back in Phoenix, I had a lot of opportunity to show my portfolio and get some advice, not only from my my fellow artisans, but also from like the clientele that I service. And I think the best advice that I get from my fellow artists out there is just do it. Don't wait until next month or wait until Monday. Just if you already have an idea, jot it down. And then once you get that, then move the next step. Like if you're gonna do one panel a day by the next week, you're already going to have either one whole page done or 7 panels done. Sometimes it's the baby steps, but being stagnant and waiting, that's not going to get you there any faster. So I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. As far as just the work, drawing something that's hard. Don't always settle for, oh, this is easier, so I'm just going to do this. No, it's you gotta push for perspective. You gotta push for over layering items. If you struggle with backgrounds, then put a background in everything, because eventually you're going to get it. What's his name? Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting his name. Well, I had talked to somebody from DC Comics, and he told me that sometimes just knowing that it's there isn't enough. Sometimes you actually have to take your own photo, and even if you have to trace your own photo onto the picture so you can get it to look right, because eventually you're gonna get it on the money every time, but you have to know what's there. So if you're doing a interior, you know that there's a door jamb, but you don't always put it in, or hinge on the back of the door, or where a bookcase would be, and an inline table, something like that, a lamp. Sometimes if you don't put those things in, it steals away from the panel. And I think the best comic that I've come across that does that very same thing is Ex Machina. Like like that guy, seriously, he would grab all of his neighbors, like, what was it, once a month or something, and would place everybody where they needed to be and reset up the house, and he would snap the photos, and every single page in that book is like on the money. It's really good. So and that was really good advice. Right. The colorist from Aspen Comics, he would sit down with me every time that we would hang out at Comic-Con, and he's just like, you're getting better. I can see the progress, but don't be afraid to use photo references. If you know that that's the arm that you need to use, then use that arm. Don't be shy, like, because eventually you're going to get there and you're going to get it on the money every time. But until then, you need to do the things that you need to do in order to do the things. And I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I use a lot of photo references for my work, and let's face it, I can't pose for my own pictures. I just can't. But I do know that we've got access to Google. We've got access to magazines, whether it be fitness magazines or Victoria's Secret or whatever, and we're able to get that arm pose. We're able to get that stiletto heel. We're able to get that hair flip or whatever it is that's going to sell that shot. And I sometimes will use 10 photos in order to get what I'm trying to create. Or sometimes I can, sometimes I can get it without any, but it's pretty rare because there's something to be said about having that bra strap curve around the rib cage or have it curve up around the shoulder and have that really accentuate the 3D-ness of it, shadows and stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, the light sourcing, that is a big thing, especially whenever you're dealing with that as well, the shadowing, the light sourcing, because it does give that realism. Because even though we're dealing in comics, which is purely fantasy and everything for the most part, except for Naughty Fairies, I know that's real, we're just not going to talk about that just yet, but but it makes a huge difference, because I've seen several comics, the dialogue is there, the dialect is right on point, panels look great and everything, and then you start looking at the details and seeing something like that, and it immediately takes your eye away from the flow that it's supposed to be going through there. You're supposed to be able to go from the top of the page in the left-hand side all the way to the bottom right-hand corner and flip that page and go to the next one. You shouldn't be stopping anywhere going, wait a minute, I got to go back to this. What? No, that doesn't work. No, back over here. The flow has to be very fluid in there. Yeah, and that helps it with that.
It really does. It really does. And so doing thumbnail sketches prior to drawing everything out, it's life-saving. And I would come across other artists at Comic-Con who would be already doing their scripting, doing their thumbnail sketches, trying to get that in place so that when they did after hours get back to work, they already knew what they were going to do. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see them work. Tim Seeley, I just kind of looked over his shoulder for like an hour, and it was pretty cool. I don't know. Everybody's got a different way that they approach it. Tony Parker, he was just like, I just don't even spend the money for like the comic boards anymore. I just get a big pack of Bristol paper and I make my own. And I'm like, oh. And so I started doing that. But I have to admit, trying to measure everything out to a 90-degree angle so I have like a line that goes across, let me tell you, I swear my ruler is warped. It is not straight across. I can never get it right, which is fine because you can always fix that stuff digitally. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes
now,
you just gotta do it.
With today's stuff that's going on, and not everything is opening up as far as cons and everything, what I always like to go ahead and do on the show that I've been doing for the longest time here is I go ahead and ask the guests, what are some of your favorite con memories that you've had?
Oh.
Oh, here comes a good one.
Do you know Joe Weems, the inker for Fathom and such? Yeah, so I was completely wasted. We were watching Rocky Horror Picture Show at Phoenix, and we left a little early, and we're out in the lobby of the Hyatt, and I'm talking to my friends, and Joe comes up, and I had just made him sign, like, I don't know, 50 comics or something just that day. I'm like, hey, it's you. And he's like, hey, you. And it was just really informal or whatever. So I was trying to make him feel like one of the guys, right? Like, he needs my help. Anyway, I go to touch his shoulder, and then I was like, oh, your shirt's so soft. It was hilarious. And he's like, did you just caress my shirt? And I'm like, yeah, is it okay? I don't know. It got really awkward, but it wasn't completely horrible. Fast forward the next year, of course I'm sober, and he comes up to me on the patio of Networks Bar and Grill, and he's like, hey, there you are. I've been looking for you. And I was like, what? Sure. He's like, well, yeah, don't you want to caress my hair? I'm like, oh, are we doing that? Yeah. And of course I got to caress his hair, and I'm just like, you're loving me. That's fantastic. And I don't know. I just find myself in the weirdest situations. Another really good story that I have is hold on. Is the fact that like I was working on a commission, and I'm one of those that I work all the time after con. Like even if I've got a bottle next to me, I like to sit and socialize. I'm a really, really cool person to like hang out and just do the stuff and the things, but I want to make sure that my clients are getting their sketches, their commissions that they're asking for before they leave the show, and I'm just very personable like that. And so I was working on a piece in the lobby, and Peter Steigerwald's like, why are you working? Like the show's over for the day, just hang out. And I'm just like, I can't. Like I'm not as fast as you guys. And he's just like, ah. So he grabs my piece of paper and he just walks off. And then he didn't come back for like several minutes. And I'm like, where did he go? Where did he go? That's the only piece of paper that I brought with me because I left everything back at the show. And I'm totally freaking out because like this is like year 3 or something for me. And I'm so nervous and I'm so like just the greenhorn, like we try so hard, but sometimes we don't, measure up. And I wanted to make sure that I gave myself enough time to also get sleep. I don't know, sleep's for the weak. Anyway, so I'm totally wigging out because it's been like 15 minutes, and I'm like, is he coming back? Like, I don't have a number for him. Like, we don't like hang, and I'm totally wigging out. So I leave my bag with my friends. I'm like, I'll be back in I'm hoping a few minutes. I gotta go find him. And I am looking all through the Hyatt trying to figure out where he went. And I pass the front lobby and I just see him standing there. And I'm like, what? So I go and join him out on the outside, and I'm like, hey, there you are. What are you doing? He's like, I'm doing your commission. I'm like, what? Oh, and I'm like, that is hilarious. He's like, yeah, I just wanted a cigarette and I just wanted to get this done for you. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? So I was just like, I can't thank you enough. That's crazy. Like, that's amazing. And thank you. And he's just like, no, that's cool. Then he just hands it to me and there's no deal. And I'm just like, gobsmacked. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to do. I'm like, wow. So I color it, and then I found something like a different piece of paper, and I drew something myself. And then I got to tell the client like that next day the whole story. I'm like, you will never believe this. This is amazing. You are so privileged to have this. So, yeah, that had never happened to me before, and I don't think it's ever happened since. But yeah, oh wow. So that was a favorite.
It's not only cool just because you got the commission, it's the way it was done, because you basically had a mini heart attack thinking you had lost it.
Oh, absolutely. Because, we don't want to, I was already carrying around way more stuff than I needed to carry. And what am I going to do? Carry like a 20 pack of paper? Like, no, I only need what I need. And I didn't have anything outside of that. Wow. It was amazing. But yeah, no, oh gosh, Comic-Con is magical. That's my Disneyland. Like, it's I learn so much. I do so much. I love it when fans come up and they're young and impressionable and they're like, can you look at my stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. And because let's face it, I wouldn't be where I am unless other people gave me a chance. So I remember this one girl, I cannot remember her name. She was young and she came over to my table 5 years in a row, I think. It got to the point where I would intentionally bring a new art supply to give her and teach her how to use it. And it was really, really awesome. And it seemed like every time I gave her those items, that she would come back the next day with a new picture to give me. And I still got them. I love it. But yeah, it's great. Like I love seeing young kids or even adults that are coming back into doing art for just fun. Having them show me the work that they've been doing, because let's face it, nobody draws the same as anybody else. And there is room in this industry for absolutely every type of art. And I would never, never hinder somebody from doing it. As long as they have very realistic expectations. Nobody's going to be out of the gate rich in this industry. This is a labor of love. This is a passion project. And yeah, it's interesting to see how everybody reacts to that. I don't know. There are some people who really don't want to let go of their art. Like for every book that they have, they keep all of their originals and they never sell them. And I'm the complete opposite. I want it out of my house. Make me an offer, get it done. Because right after that, I have 10 other things that I put, and then I don't have anywhere to put it. And I don't want to hang on to this stuff. This stuff needs to go to people who are going to appreciate it way better than me. It's possible, let me tell you. There are some people who have really done well in the comic industry, but they have worked themselves to the bone.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, it's a labor of love, and you have to have the patience to go ahead and go into it, but you also have to have the ability to work with other people. You can't do this as a one-person army. It's not going to work. And
yeah, no.
I kind of think that they can just go ahead and go duck their head in, go straight in, do their crowdfunding, do whatever on that, throw something out there, and all of a sudden their stuff is the best stuff in the world. Now, it may be great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean it's the best stuff in the world. And for somebody, especially whenever they start coming up going, they're the next Stan Lee or the next Steve Ditko, and it's like, no.
Right. No, but let's face it, they paved the way. They paved the way for us to enjoy it. They paved the way for it to be a viable way to create and do and inspire people like myself who, well, we just don't know what to do with ourselves, but we know we want to do art. So, and I think the hardest thing about this whole quarantine thing is just finding supplies, period. It was ridiculous. Like I had to go to brick and mortar stores and try to find their operational hours just to get stuff because websites don't have it. Copic wasn't making replacement inks or restocking the U.S. suppliers for like 2 years. 20 months, whatever. Let's not get too dramatic. But even Prismacolor pencils, like I was having the hardest time trying to find just peach flesh tone pencils, to the point that I like tracked some down here in Houston. I went and bought all of them. So I might be adding to the problem. You guys might be hoarding toilet paper. I'm hoarding art supplies. I love you all. So
I probably know a few people in Houston that are probably griping right now too.
Which is fine. And they can reach out, and if I have it, I'll share it for sure. I would much rather encourage those to actually create than for me to run out and have to go brave the COVID, whatever it is. It's outrageous. I hate it. Like, it just feels like Phoenix is just as bad as Houston when it comes to people not wanting to wash their hands and wear a mask. That's fine. any of them. I'm just going to self-quarantine here at my house and keep making a bunch of art, and you guys can just, pay for shipping and have it.
We'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, right?
Now,
yeah.
with you talking about, the stuff that you have been working on, the stuff that you have done and everything, what's in your future? I mean, that you can talk about, of course. You can't, I know there's projects and whatnot.
Oh, sure. No, so I've got a lot of commissions that I've already signed myself up for and I need to do. And I'm looking forward to finishing Emergence, which is already, I've already sent the pages that I have completed to the main guy. I've sent it to Darren and he's already forwarded it on to the inker. So, during the quarantine issue, they've been working on that too. So hopefully when we get all of that taken care of, that'll be coming out soon. Once I get that taken care of, I'm hoping to get back to working on Mark of the Terran. Mark of the Terran, if you're at all interested, is a novel that's available on Amazon.com. It's awesome. The novelist, the author, actually wrote it very much in a comic format, where it's the perspective of that character for that chapter, and then the next perspective of that is the different perspective of that character. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the early Fathom issues, where it was her perspective when she was young, and then it goes to the perspective of the pilot or something like that, and it just kind of goes on for that 12 issues or whatever. And so that book, oh my goodness, I keep trying to encourage her to put out the next sequel, but she's focused so heartedly on trying to get a book deal that she's been writing a bunch of stuff. Her name is Melissa Stacy, Stacy, I believe. And she is the most brilliant person I have ever met, and I love her so much. She actually pitched this idea to me at a Nine Inch Nails concert, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. It's the only project that I have believed in so much to do pro bono. So yeah, there's that. So then, as far as what's in my future, I'm really hoping to get back on the bandwagon of doing interiors. That is my passion. But the problem is that we artists have to cater to our audience a lot, and so the big sellers at Comic-Con are going to be prints or characters that are already beloved by them. And so trying to have that diverse repertoire for them to rifle through is important if you're going to be successful for sales rather than passion projects. So I am hoping to incorporate more of my passion projects for my upcoming future Comic-Cons.
Very cool. And of course, we're going to be seeing you on more of the Naughty Fairies, I would imagine, because Wendy's already said that she's got you over there. So I think Lewis is going to have to fight her for using you on one of the series there.
Well, she has commented on how quickly I do shell this stuff out. So with any luck, I'll be able to share amongst the masses. But Wendy, I love you so much.
Because I don't think Naughty Fairies is not slowing down at all. I don't know how much more of this can possibly go, but I know whenever I interviewed Wendy, she basically said that it's just going to keep on going until fans decide they don't want any more. She says she's got plenty of stories, and I'm like, hey, keep going.
Good. Because I've only recently started working with her, and you know what? It's really awesome working with other female creators. It's not like that's my only reason for working with her. Let's face it. How can you really go wrong with anything naughty, anything fairy related, or assassins, or strippers? The strippers. so so yeah, no, it's really amazing. She's got excellent subject matter. I'm looking forward to reading the books because I still need to pick them up. But just based on the character development that she's already sent me, she's special in my heart. And you know what? We just now need to hug it out in person, but safely.
Knowing Wendy, she is ready for that hug. Trust me.
Oh, I know. Like even coming in to do this, this is the most I have talked in like 4 months. So I was, like I said, I was a little nervous coming into the interview, but it's not like I can't talk. It's just that what's too much? Is it something I'm going to be able to talk about? Blah 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 blah. I don't know. It's weird being separated from people whenever you're the social butterfly that I am.
It happens, and that's why I wanted to get you on here, because we've seen your work, but nobody's been able to actually talk to you, of course, because without the being able to talk to you in person or whatever. So I thought, hey, we'll get you on here, and that way people can put the face with what the artwork is and everything, and then find out your background to see that it is really worth it to go ahead and start following you and backing you. Hint, hint, everybody.
Right. Oh, man. So I during this whole quarantine thing, the biggest thing that I have managed to accomplish is getting with a web developer and trying to put together a web page, like a legit web page. And so he's gotten several things posted, but I am not sure of the logistics so far. The last time I looked at it, it just had like my sketch cards and stuff up, but it should be www.reynaart.com. So if people want to pop over there and take a look at it and navigate through it, so be. I'm not sure about being able to purchase stuff yet, but he came down with the Rona, so it might slow down just a little bit. But my end game, once that is fully developed, is to not only have my originals on there for purchase, my comic covers available. I'm hoping to start slabbing my books and getting them posted up there for purchase. I'll have prints available. I'll have the sketch cards available. I'll even be able to secure commissions and stuff through there. I am hoping to showcase a portfolio so that people can take a look at not only my line art, but my interior storytelling, or I've actually gotten a chance to work on a couple of children's books. I am also hoping to do like a weekly bloggy kind of thing, whether it's step-by-step instructions on how I accomplished a couple of Dawn commissions. I use airbrushing technique with the Copic marker system. I will incorporate different colors for color pencil or the spray glitter or whatever. I'm hoping to go through technique things as well as the step-by-step process, because let me tell you, the most, the hardest thing is just having patience. Everything has a ugly phase in the process, and sometimes you got to get over that hump before you can see the light on the other side. And yeah, trying not to shy away from it. It's so hard to do work in front of people at Comic-Con because they don't usually see the ugly process. You get people like, Peter Segerwold who can crank that stuff out and it looks 100% amazing every step of the way. Whereas you get something like myself where I do little sketchy layouts, and then I go through and ink it real light, and then I do a color application, and then I get a little sloppy with it, and then I blend it up, and then I go back through with my fine liners to tighten up those lines. Until you get to that, it's a little hit and miss until you get there. And I think I've only ever had to throw away 2 that didn't make it out of that. So
But I can honestly tell you, as a fan, it's one of those things that I'm being able to look behind the curtain now in all of this. Whenever I used to go into my LCS or whatever, or buy things online or whatnot, I would go in there and it was strictly just, what I would pick up off the shelf that got my attention, blah, blah, blah. And it looked nice. And I looked at the final product and that's what got my attention. Now, anything I look at, in my mind, I'm reversing it out and going back all the way to pencils in my mind, what I can see there, because I've seen that process, and it amazes me how many processes it has to go through to get to where it's on the shelf.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what's really cool is like if you get those people that they literally do not care, you get those blue lines or the red lines that they do the under pencil, and then they just ink right on top of that, and you get to see that whole process laid out. I got some Sabrina the Teenage Witch line art, and it's like they even went through and did the lettering straight on the page, and I'm just like, whoa, they don't do that anymore. They
Right.
do not do that anymore. And trying to think about taking an 11 by 17 large image and shrinking it down to comic size, like being able to do the lettering so that it is one, consistent, and two, like laid out, you know, for the panels to be shrunk down. Like wow. Wow.
Absolutely.
So
Now, one thing
and
that I would say for your future that I would like to see, and this is me, and I don't know, I'm thinking everyone else in the audience might agree, is an art book.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so every year up until 2 years ago, right before I came out here to Houston, I would put out a sketchbook every year. And my big plan was to do an X book, the big 10-year anniversary thing. But it didn't happen because that was last year.
Ah.
So I think I might have to do a big 15th anniversary kind of thing and do that and talk to some of my contacts like Wendy, like Brian Polito, like Tom Hutchinson, and see if they would allow me to submit into this book that I'm creating the work that I did, not only for their books, but maybe even some doodles that I had done. And just, because I like to have their blessing. Those are their characters. They are their bread and butter. It's their labor of love. And I would hate to injure any feelings or emotions that would be tied to something like that. I don't know. I love being able to create work. And when you have characters that inspire you like that, it's amazing. Thank you, Wendy. And I don't know. I'm hoping to push myself to do bigger, better things. And I've been talking to Travis Hansen about doing that. And he gave me some companies that do like a hardbound book. And I've had a lot of people tell me, why wait for 15 years? Just do it. With Indiegogo and Kickstarter being so widely popular, there's no reason why you can't. And I'm like, oh, yeah. It makes my heart flutter because I've never done anything like that. I piggyback off of other people, like, submitting work to like Wendy for Navi Super Fairy Assassins. And she is, the man behind the curtain making that a success. I'm gonna say it's fear that I haven't done it. I love you so much. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it, and I really do want to incorporate a wide variety of stuff. 6 years ago, I did a Women with Wings series that was all original characters, incorporating like hummingbird wings or dragon wings, or just trying to like do things that were not copyright, not your typical Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman kind of stuff.
Right.
And then 2 years after that, I had done a series of the Mer People. And both of those sets were very successful. And then there's a ton of stuff that I'm super proud of that I got to do also. I got to submit work onto the marquee of the Phoenix Ballet. I've gotten to do some work for bands. Like some of my work is on their album covers. I've gotten to do some, books. I got to do the illustrations for the Worry Wave, which is about a kid that has like sensory issues, and I got to do all of the work for it. This, I think, is also available on Amazon.
Very nice.
So, yeah, it's interesting. These are things that would never make my print wall, but they're beautiful and well illustrated with a story. And there's a lot of kids that are expected to be absolutely perfect. So when you've come across a kid that's had some sense of trauma or some sense of not being able to work through things that are normal, you got to be also able to say, yeah, it's okay, and it takes some time to work, you know. Another book that I got to do, oh yeah, thank you, Wendy, was Dan Wickline's The Mysterious Monkey of the Monarch Apartments, which is also on Amazon. Oh my gosh, I got a glare. There we go.
Huh.
And I got to do some illustrations on the inside of it. But this is a chapter book, and it's available for kids that are at like middle grade, like 3rd to 4th grade and up. And it's really, really quite cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah. So this one I did a couple of years back. I can't quite remember. 2015. So, so yeah, it's really quite cool to work on things that are a little unconventional but are still relevant to the art industry. Oh yeah, yeah.
This is a gentleman. Joseph Bruno is a gentleman that's up here. He's a photographer, and he's up in my area up here. And I've met him a few times back whenever we could actually go out in public. And that's what he's talking about with this, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do it, whether it's, you know, a saddle stitch book or a hardbound collection, or doing like Kinko's can do like a wire bound kind of thing. And I know I've bought different types of books, like oh goodness, David Mack. He did he called it hand drawn, and it was a beautifully unconventional size and wire bound sketchbook that he did, and it's beautiful. He's also, well, I mean, a lot of the people that I admire have these spectacular art books that they've created. And there's always that nagging feeling that you're not good enough. And I'm at that point where I am, but I don't believe that I am. It's bizarre, because I'm constantly thinking about the next project that I don't think that I have a collection of work that could possibly go into something like that. And then I have to snap myself out of it. But by the time I go to pull the trigger, I get distracted and do something else. Yeah. I'm hoping that once Clara goes into school, my little mouse, once she goes into school, I'll be able to like start dictating in a more organized fashion to get some of these projects actually like out. And I would like to do one more collection of things before I do the book, because maybe it's the art school thing where you do like a series of stuff. I remember doing a series of still lifes, PVC pipe or shoes or something. And it still looked amazing once you got 10, 12 pieces laid out, and you're like, whoa, I did all that. So I've got like, 6 or 7 images of women with wings. I've got like 8 or 9 images of the mer people. I would like to do one more, and I think I would like to do something maybe with feathers and scales or horns, or just pick like a theme and then have it spiral all out of control, I think that once I do that, I think that I will be ready to go ahead and do a collection, and just to do it, and then sprinkle in a few non-creator characters in there just for the sake of having it there. But I think that there is a lot of pride that can be there's a lot of pride whenever you can do the art and have it be something that people like just because they like the art or the style. Because if they like that, that can be applied to anything in the comic industry. And I think that a lot of creators, they sell themselves short. Like they would rather do all Disney princesses or all DC characters or something and never branch out and do something different.
Right.
So,
now,
and then I got all
as far as you saying that you know, you're known, but you're just not, you know, you're not sure if it's right that you're known type thing. I know for a fact, I'm going to tell you right now, the people that you've worked for, they don't allow people to work for them and do the level of things that you've done unless they actually believe in you. And for Wendy even put up here, she believes in you. Wendy's one of those people that she doesn't just pull directly off unless she sees something in someone. And we all do. And that's why we enjoy your work. So as far as you're made, we just need to get you out there and get more of your information out there and more people backing you and following you and going through that. So that's the whole point of getting the exposure out there, is that now they can see who you are. They see you're an actual human being, not a robot, even though you're spitting these things out as fast as you are. They can actually start following you and saying, look, we need to go ahead and get on board and find out exactly what, not only what you've got going right now, but what's coming in the future.
Right. This year, I was planning on taking it easy anyway, just because my husband travels a lot for his work, and we've got, you know, the 5-year-old. But I'm gonna hopefully my goal, and I don't know if COVID restrictions are gonna impose, but my goal was just kind of trickle in a little bit next year, and then do full out con stuff the year after. I am mostly known in the Southwest, you know, like through Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico. I did a show in Colorado. I did Comic Palooza here in Houston, but that was a weird show. I don't feel like I put my best foot forward. I don't know. I love sharing tables with my friends and stuff, and so I shared a table with Rachel Osborne. She goes by R.R. Bourne. She's a novelist, and so I'm going to be doing some work for her book later this year. But we were kind of like in a weird aisle and not in Artist Alley, and I feel like, you know, artists should be in Artist Alley, and the placement was weird. We didn't have a lot of traffic flow down our aisle. Plus, we had like that weird tropical depression that like went through, so I don't know. It impacted the turnout in a not really positive way. But I'm hoping to come back to Comic Palooza and try to like showcase some more work here in Texas. So eventually, I am going to start doing more East Coast shows. There's no reason why I can't. I've always wanted to go and do Wizard World Chicago, because that's where it all started, you guys. Back in 1999, like that was where it all started. Like that was my first Comic-Con where I just absolutely fell in love. And so Pink Poker Chip. Oh, Tom! Oh, that's another con story. Oh, I love it. Okay, you ready for this? Every year at Phoenix Comic-Con, they do a charity poker tournament. I don't know how to play poker, you guys. This is me. Like, they think me the jackal. Like, this is my poker face. It's impossible to read. And they give out these poker chips, and there's a common one, and then there's a little bit more rare, and then they have a super rare. And pink one that was really rare, and I'm like, I like pink, and he didn't want to trade me, and so constantly bantering back and forth. I've never been able to win it off of him. So like once a year, oh, he taunts me, so he sends me these images of like, hey, I still got it, and I'm like, oh, every year I never get the rare one.
What, Tom taunts? What? Tom never taunts.
Oh, he's so fun when he taunts. Although in my defense, last year, completely Goldschlager is my drink of choice. It has been forever. I know. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I brought my own, and like I was like completely wasted. And I don't even remember the guy's name. I just know he was the Red Power Ranger. And I totally beat him out of hand. Like I cleared him out with triple twos. And whenever I've been drinking, I forget to be humble. So I was already ready to like make a lap around the table in excitement. It was ridiculous, but like 5 steps in, I turned myself around and sat back down because I'm trying to be humble, but still, it's impossible.
Now,
Well, let me tell you,
Lewis is asking what part of Texas. Now, I will answer this one for you because and Steph's not in here. I wish Steph was in here right now because y'all are going to hear. This is where the Texan part comes from because I was outside of Houston. She's in the Houston area as well, or in Houston, right?
In Houston, yeah.
Houston. Okay. So I was just outside of Houston. And yeah, so we were basically neighbors down there. So y'all now know where this comes from whenever I get that drawl coming out and everything. That's this right here.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. There's a lot of Texans out here that do. Although I'm not much of a y'all kind of person, but I have to admit there are some super twangy they just purrs, like that southern draw. They open doors and they're super courteous until they get onto the freeway, and then it's just no holds bar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man. You guys need to work on your traffic skills. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it's scary. Huh?
I don't miss that. That's for certain.
No. It's I've never seen it. Like I got to the point where I was having my groceries delivered to me because at every stoplight there was somebody that was running the red light, and I was like, "This is dangerous." Just for a gallon of milk, no way.
Well, I could keep you on here all night long. We have had a blast with this and everything, but I think we're going to go ahead and.
Oh yeah, it is late.
What's that?
It is late.
Well, we've had fun.
You know what? This is the best fun I've had in a long time. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to go ahead and give us your last shout out on where we can find you and everything, and let everyone know where they can go ahead and get that original artwork that you have left, because you have a little bit left.
I do have quite a few things left. I've got a new website that is still being under construction under www.reynaart.com. You can find me on Facebook under Reyna Art. That's my fan page. Or if you want to be close buddy friends and see all my inappropriate memes, April Grady Reyna. And then I do have an Instagram where I post a lot of my progress shots or my my work available. And that's under Reyna _art. So I'm around. And I do take commissions, even though it might be a couple of days or so to get it started. So it just depends on how elaborate you're looking for. But I really like working on really interesting stuff, and there's very few things that I'll actually say no to. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, I know I've had a blast having you on here tonight, and it looks like the audience has had a blast because they've had questions and interacting and everything, and having fun. So I know we're going to end this right now and everything. However, I would like to ask that you come back on the show at a given time later on, so we can get you back on here to find out what's going on and see if we can't get you something else out there maybe that we can promote.
It would be my pleasure anytime.
Absolutely. All right, let me go ahead and drop you back. I'll finish this up, but thank you very much for being here.
Alrighty, see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We had April on here. We had an absolute blast with this. She was a great guest. She was worried about being on here and just kind of, not worried, but kind of more or less just kind of like, okay, don't know what to expect scenario. Now, I always have a closing statement. Tonight's not going to be any different on that, and I never script it, so I always go based off of what's been going on with the interview. On this one word comes to mind: humility. She is exonifying that, with humility, you can go out here and you can actually make a difference in what you're doing. It's not that she's saying that she's coming out saying that she is the best and you have to go ahead and back everything she does because there is none better. Yet she's coming out here saying that she's not necessarily the best. She could be better, and she's willing to do anything and everything to go ahead and get everyone's attention. So maybe humility would be the way that we can go ahead and make a certain change within not only this industry, but in humanity itself. There was one person, and I will name names on this one, William Russell, the angry artist, who said there are quite a few people that could use eating some humble pie. So we're going to go ahead and leave it on that one there, because maybe eating some of that humble pie be something we need to go ahead and get those pebbles thrown out there. So again, Demon Phil, Comics in War, New Jersey. Keep it indie, y'all.